We are so excited to be here this Tuesday afternoon, maybe Tuesday morning. I am Katie Love with Simple Wishes, and we have a very special guest today as we're letting some of you pop on. You're getting that Facebook alert saying that we're going live. I want to introduce you to Charity. She is a baby wearing educator and infant massage specialist. She kills it on Instagram. You may have seen us posting some of her super cool reels with her baby wearing and like her real take on being a mom. Charity, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Tell me a little bit about yourself and your journey to getting to where you are helping moms.
Well, I've been a massage therapist for 10 years now, and just the last couple years really decided I wanted to focus on like women's health and prenatal and postpartum. And when I moved into that journey, I actually became pregnant myself. And so it just opened up this whole realm. And then my daughter was born. She's now 18 months. She's downstairs potty training. So that's where we are with life. Um, but when she was born, it was just natural for me to massage her. And I decided, you know what, I want to have a little bit more education, be a little bit more intentional, and decided to go ahead and get a certification in it. And then as I was in that realm studying that, I was picking up a lot of muscular things and seeing moms were uncomfortable with their carriers and they felt like their babies were uncomfortable, which was like coinciding with infant massage. And so I just felt like this was going to be the perfect, um, mesh with infant massage and baby wearing. So it's been such a fun journey. And then, just mom life. Yeah. So I try to be as real as possible. We have our moments where everything is wonderful. And then we have our moments where it's crazy and there's poop on the floor because we're potty training. So that's, our life is super fun like that.
And I think that really goes into why you would want to be able to be hands free and wear your baby. How do you think it sort of like changes life for moms to be able to like have baby like close to you while you're getting things done?
Well, I definitely think that there's different phases in baby wearing. So, the wrap I'll be showing you guys today is a stretchy wrap, and it's what I recommend in those like early first weeks, those probably that first month or two. And it's all about bonding and connection, which is great for postpartum too, because sometimes that connection happens right away, and sometimes we're struggling with bottle feeding and breastfeeding and all these new things in mom life, and it can be overwhelming. So to have something that just helps us bond and be super close to our babies, and then as they grow, there's all these different carriers, and moms want to hike, there's a carrier for that versus if you're just walking around in your house. Um, so that's really a cool side of it. The other thing is tradition. So there's this kind of myth that we think it's just a trend, and it's been around for generations, and there's so many cool traditions where it's passed down through um, the Asian culture, the African culture, the Native American culture, in different ways that people wear. And I just love learning about all of that too. So it's definitely not new, and it's definitely not just about being hands free, but that is a huge benefit.
Right, of course. I didn't want to say that it's all
Oh no,
about
you're
hands free. And I think that, they talk about skin to skin and the benefits that baby has of just being like smelling you, like being close to you. And so when you say that kind of baby wearing changes from infant to maybe where you are now with your 18-month-old, do you feel like you can use different wraps or like I know there's like the hoop, there's so many different things, or can you transition with the one you're going to show us?
So the one I'm going to show you is I they say it goes up to, well, it depends which one you go with. There's several different brands out there too. And so the majority of them is like 25 up to 35 pounds. But it depends on your baby, because the thing with, I live in Arizona. So I know we have people from all over. And the thing with Arizona is it gets really hot really fast. We don't have 4 seasons. So that's something I always take into account. Like, where do you live? That's a huge part of this, because fabric against you and your baby and cuddling in, that's going to matter. So a stretchy wrap, I don't think lasts quite as long, like the longevity of it, just because the bigger they get, the more they have to be wrapped into you and cuddled in nice and tight. And if you're in the middle of summer, so it really depends on the size of baby, where your baby's at developmentally, and then where you live, I think is a huge part of it, and the fabric you're using. So
that makes total sense. Okay, so the one you're showing us today, what circumstance would it be best for?
So the one I'm showing you guys today is a Behold Baby. It is a soft, stretchy wrap. And what I do love about it is if you do live in Arizona, this is a local brand called Behold Baby, and the fabric is awesome. So it's stretchy, but it's nice and thin at the same time. So there's also ones, Solly Baby, Moby, Heritage. Those are all different stretchy wraps, and they all have like a little bit different. They're the same, but they're gonna all be a little bit different because they're all different brands. And their thickness might be different. So for a mom that lives in Wisconsin and it's winter, she might want a thicker one that's more of like a Moby wrap. So again, just, things that I like to consider coming from the desert, but this one is made for the desert for sure.
Okay, amazing. Do you want to show us how it works?
Sure. So let me back my camera up just a little bit. And move this. I just didn't want to stand the whole time because I'm pregnant. I'm 19 and a half weeks, so I'm like, I can just move this aside. So all of my baby wearing classes, I haven't named her yet. I have 2 other dolls, Carol and Baskin. You can see when I started all of my ventures. But she is not named yet, but she's weighted. So it's really nice when I get to show parents. This is the most realistic doll that you could possibly have because she's about 12 pounds. So a lot of moms get intimidated because these are long and they're like, I don't know what to do with this. So what I tell them is practice. Even if it's with a sack of potatoes and you don't have a weighted baby doll, that's totally fine. So if you guys have yours with you, hopefully some of you guys brought yours, you're always going to have a middle marker to any woven wrap and any stretchy wrap. So you want to find your middle marker here, and we're just going to make a nice tube top. And we're going to wrap it around the back. I'll have my little, I call them wings, just like so. And the big thing that I talk about is keeping your fabric so it's like not twisting over itself. Once we start twisting, that's when it's harder to tighten because you don't know where your fabric is. So I'm just going to dump this in here. And they sent me this and I love the color. Love, love, love the color. So I'm going to switch this around. So a lot of you guys have probably tried this in some way or version. The big thing that I like to tell moms is this crisscross that's happening right here is where your baby is going to sit. So if you've got a newborn, they're going to be a lot higher. Mine's, again, she's 12 pounds, so she's going to sit right about here. Now, I haven't done this one in a few weeks or so, just because my little one's not at this, and I've had a lot of ring sling consults. So it's going to be a little interesting to see where my bump lies because that is going to start to matter for me too. So we're going to take our little tube top and we're going to put it down here. And then this is another big trick. So we've got our crisscross and this is where we're going to put baby in. Technically your wrap is ready for you and your baby. You want to see which fabric is touching your shirt or your skin first. And for me, it's this one. So you can see it touches me first. And that's where we're going to put the first leg. So your baby is ready. If your baby's super fussy, sometimes the first thing to do to calm yourself and your baby is just rocking them before we move them around. So you can do that. Music helps too. That's something that's a part of your guys' life. I highly recommend it. If you guys need a good Spotify, message me. I have a great one that's not so boring. It's like Tom Petty and some other stuff. So it's great. But it's baby lullabies. So any carrier that we have, we're going to make sure that we have this nice seat for them. So the way I describe this seat is if you've gone to a playground, they have the baby seats, and you'll see the little rubber piece or whatever it is on one side of them and on the other. And that's to protect them as they swing. So we think of us as like the swing that's holding them. We want a fabric that is on this side of them and this side of them so they don't pop out of their little swing. So that's my analogy for that. I think that's a good analogy, right?
It definitely is. I can see it.
So get this. You can see I've just created that nice seat there. Then you're going to find your tube top. And you're going to walk your tube top almost like you would go over their head, but we're not going to. All that does is it's creating a nice little, see how it kind of folds right against the neck? What that essentially does is it acts as your hand. So just, that's basically what that is. It's the support of what your hand would be. So
now, do you need more or less support if, you know, your infant is 1 month and doesn't have, you know, great neck control versus like, does it hit the neck the same way no matter how old they are?
Yep, so the neck is going to be the same as far as newborn. The big thing with newborn is we talk about their feet and their hips, but every baby is different. So especially when I have a consult in person, but even when I don't, I ask questions to see where are they developmentally. Some babies come out of the womb with this nice M shape that we talk about with this sit squat position. Some don't, and they do more of like the crisscross with their legs. So it really just depends where they're at when they come out of the womb, how they were in utero. We talk about all of those things. I talk about that with the neck too. Again, you'll see I really think about the muscles when we're talking about baby wearing. If your baby really likes to turn one way specifically, we want to make sure we encourage both ways. So we're helping the neck stretch out on both sides and not just encouraging that one side to develop more than the other and the other becomes tight. So there's so many things that we talk about as far as that. But a big thing here is we want to make sure you can kiss the top of her head. I did her. You can kiss the top of her head and I can see her. So she's pretty good. I could probably even go a little bit lower, but again, I talked about this bump is going to push her up a little bit for me. So if you're pregnant, just know that. But she's good, and I can bend down, and I'm good, and the back is nice and comfortable. And again, I can wear a shirt. I could do no shirt and have some more skin to skin. And then again, for a newborn setup, it would be a little bit different if their feet are not going to be in this split or spread squat position.
And we do have someone asking about nursing while wearing your baby.
Yes. So nursing, again, would be a little bit of a different setup for this one. We, depending on their age, we would put them in a little bit of a cross position. So if they're newborn, so it's a little bit of a different setup. But if they're at this age, what we could do is we could take this down, always supporting, and we're gonna mess with our crisscross. I can pull it off my shoulder even. I'm gonna take her down to my boob, pop my boob in. With, depending on your boob size, and because we're not the same, and sometimes the boobs are not the same, right? So depending on that, sometimes if you have a bra that's a little bit tighter, then you can pop that over. So like more of like a sports bra, or for Simply Wishes, it would be more like the lounge bra that you could kind of pop out, and it's gonna have the something that's gonna like push it up. So we would do that, and then they're right here. If not, you can just wear a normal nursing bra, put that open, and they're right there. The big thing with that is anytime they're done breastfeeding, you always want to readjust. So we would readjust all of this. And then you can see I've lost some of my slack right through here, and I would want to retighten. So that's the biggest thing that I can say about breastfeeding. Always readjust, always retighten, and that's a safety thing.
Got it. And what about baby facing in versus out? Or do you always recommend in?
So in this carrier, I don't recommend facing out, but you'll see this is not me being judgmental. Of course, this is just me talking to physical therapists, OTs, and chiropractors, making sure that what I'm seeing also lines up with other professionals that see and deal with healthy hips. The other thing is I follow the Healthy Hip Institute, and they talk about things like hip dysplasia and just the guidelines that go along with that. And I recommend forward facing towards you, not out, for the first year. So a lot of moms say like, well, my baby's getting bored, I want to face them out. This carrier on the box, it says this. And we have to remember that some products are product pushers, some companies. So if they can get away with saying something, just something to take note of. It's kind of a hot topic, but I don't mind telling you guys what I think and the professionals that I've talked to and the guidelines that I follow. But if you feel like they're getting bored, try like a ring sling, because they're going to have a little bit more of an open view, or put them on your back. So at like 6 months, they're being more vocal. You can hand them snacks over your shoulder. I love putting babies on my back. So, and now that I'm pregnant, that's where my daughter really is on my back.
That makes sense. We this kind of goes into what we were saying. We have another question from a Facebook user that we have, which is, should I be concerned about stretching babies' hips too much wearing this way? So we were kind of talking a little bit about that. And I know you said it matters where the baby is physically, but whether you would have the legs out like you have now, or more like in a froggy position, more tucked in, or are the legs out the best for the hips?
So again, we're talking newborn. It really depends in those beginning stages, how they were in utero, how they're coming out, and what is natural to them, right? We also take a look at when they're sitting up, what are they doing then, and how are their back and their neck, and really just supporting all the way through like where they're at developmentally. But the big thing is when they're past that like newborn stage, or they're just ready for it off the bat, is that M shape. So if it goes more like this, then you're putting a lot of pressure right through here. Okay, so what I want you to think about too, because I know it gets brought up a lot. Let me take her out. And in my classes, I'll always show you how to get in. I'll always show you how to get out, because the last thing you want to do is be in a position where you're in the Target parking lot and you're like, my baby's crying, I need to change them, and I don't know how to get out of this wrap. So it's very important to me, not just to make sure you know how to get in, but also to know how you get out. So I want you to look at this. This is where we all do this, or we all do this, and they're up against our chest. See her hips? They're in that same M position. So this is very natural, right? It's just supporting them, and it's about a matter of that seat. So when I go like this, that's what I'm talking about, is that seat, that piece of fabric. Those are the things that are important just to support that. But essentially, it's the same as us holding them. We just kind of shuffle them around our hips, and it's natural. So same thing, it's natural.
Do you think you could show us how you would wear baby on the back? Because is it that same wrap that you would use?
No, it's not. But I actually have a couple carriers that I can do it with. So,
because that sounds, I feel like I would like that. Like I was carrying my baby this weekend through the airport on the front, facing me, and I felt like, I mean, she's like 22 pounds now, so she's I just felt like it was hard on my back. So I wonder if it feels like better once they get heavier.
Yeah, definitely. So there's a couple ways. I have actually both wraps up here for this. So I have an Ergo Baby, which we could wear on the back. My Ergo Baby can wear it on the front or on the back. So you just want to make sure that your carriers too, that you're reading your labels. Had I read my label for my stretchy wrap when I was first pregnant with her, I would have realized that it was not for outward facing. So I totally understand what it's like to be a mom and just be like, oh, I got this piece of fabric. Let's see.
Oh, there you are.
There we go. Okay. So I will ask you, do you want to see the woven or do you want to see an Ergo Baby? And I'm curious like what people more have today.
Okay, so we'll let people answer in the comments, but I personally would like to see the Ergo Baby. That is what I use and did not know I could use it on the back.
Yeah. So as people answer, what I will say is with because we kind of talked about Ergo Baby and just making sure that yours is, whether it's a Tula or a Lily Baby or what's the other one? I guess those are the big ones. Ergo Baby, Lily Baby, and Tula. Whichever brand they are, they're very similar, right? And if I feel like I haven't put on a wrap, I will do my research, and so I know where all the buckles and stuff are. So even if mine has a few things different, I make sure that I can talk about it with my clients. So what I will say is if you do get a woven wrap, just know the size of your woven wrap. It's funny because I'm actually putting out a reel on my Instagram today. This one is my short wrap. So my short wrap is not for back tearing. So just know, or if you have questions, definitely reach out to me and I can help you figure out what you're wanting to do with your woven wrap, and that'll help pick a size for it. So are different sizes. They're not all the same length. So did they say Ergo Baby? Because I have a feeling that's going to be okay. Yeah. Oh, and then I actually have this one up here too. So we'll do the Ergo Baby, but since we're kind of going over different ones, this is a Medai. It's a traditional Asian style wrap carrier. One of my favorite things about it is it's super easy. As you can see, it only has 4 straps that come out of it. You can wear this one on the front or the back as well.
Amazing.
So, again, something that I'll talk about is that you want this. Well, first let me say this. Anytime that you buckle an Ergo Baby, Tula, any of them, they should all have like a little safety thing. So
you're like actually changing my life right now. I feel like it's the first time I found out that I could put on my bra that way, because I am constantly trying to do it like this. I didn't even think about clipping it in the front first.
Yeah, so same. Yep, and she's right. Same with your bra. So yeah, clip your bra in the front and then flip it around.
Yes.
So yeah, I clip here on like this side, kind of.
Yes.
But you want to make sure they all have this little thing, and it almost looks like a weird like hair tie sort of thing. Your buckle should go through it, and then you always want to hear this beautiful sound. If you don't hear that sound, then you need to take it back, call Ergo Baby, call whoever, but it's a safety thing again. So heaven forbid something happen with your buckle. That's why there's this safety clip. Your buckle will actually catch the safety little hair tie first. So we want to make sure it goes through that. Don't skip over that. So I'm going to tighten, and you want your carrier to be flat against you, but mine's not going to be super flat against me. And that's okay. So if you're pregnant, I totally understand. So as much as we can, we might have to adjust it a little bit once I flip it around to the back. So the last time I wore this, I wore it this way. I'm going to untighten my straps, make my life easier. And then I want to make sure there's this thing called an H-clip, and I'll show you in a second what that is. But you probably have all been somewhat familiar of thinking this thing is sometimes annoying and you can't reach it. It moves. So some carriers don't have it. When picking out a soft structure carrier, I really do like this. But some soft structure carriers, that's a handful, actually go crisscross. So that's just a preference thing. So I'm gonna flip this around to the side. Okay, so I've got baby. Let's see, do I need to tighten anymore? Not really. Okay. So I'm gonna take one strap, and I like really loosened it, so I don't need it quite that loose. And I'm just gonna put this one strap in, and I'm gonna find right here is where her little leg is gonna come through. So we're gonna guide it through. We don't say pull, we say guide. Big thing. And practice with a baby doll. Practice with a ball. A sack of potatoes is gonna be a little bit harder to go around your back, but that's all you have. And then practice right at the bedside. You know, we want to practice not in the Target parking lot when our baby's crying and we're trying to get in the store for 2 things. And yeah, we're just stressed out. That doesn't help our mental health. And we're probably going to skip some stuff or forget stuff. Same for them. They feed off our energy. So the more patient we are, the more patient they're with us. So I'm going to have her on my side. And I'm always going to have one hand supporting her. So this is the shoulder that I'm going to go over. This is the shoulder that we're going to guide that foot through. So I'm going to go around her like a swimming position, just like so. I still am supporting her. I'm going to move her towards the back. And we're going to guide that foot right on through. And now I'm pulling up that panel like so. I still have my butt on her. And then I'm going to get my strap. So she's in, okay? She might not be perfectly aligned, and that's okay, but she's in. We're gonna adjust her. Perfect. And now we're gonna mess with our straps. So our straps are way off. So I'm gonna make them a little bit more even. And then we're just gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4. And I should have clipped my H-clip first. So that's actually the first thing you do. But again, mom brain is so real. I'm pregnant too, so like,
it's hard to
get something. What?
It's hard to remember all these things, but I think you made it look really simple.
So, and again, this move. So we want it across here. If I feel like my straps have too much room, I can pick the strap up and then tighten this way. If you're picking out a soft structure carrier, something to keep in mind is if I go to get out of this one, the one thing that I don't love about it is the first thing you want to do is loosen these. And it's kind of hard because you see like, this isn't natural for me. So it's fine. I've worked with this a long time. I do love this carrier, but it's just something to consider is like how your straps are working and your own range of motion. But then we just unclip here, take this down, and I already have my hand right on her butt, just like so. Now they'll start to get to an age where they help you. They know what you're doing, and they just, okay, we're going around. They think it's fun. So.
And then the Herbal Baby also has like this flap on the top that can support the neck. Do we do that when they're in the back?
So mine doesn't really have that on this. It's
Oh yeah.
more of, which
It's a
this
little-
actually can sometimes really annoy me because it's supposed to like ravel in and tuck in, and it doesn't like to do it. So this is also like an older version. So I know they have gotten better at it, but this one does. Okay, and so I can flip it down for that purpose of being on the back.
So you shouldn't have it up in the back.
I would flip it down.
Okay. And then we have a question from Joy. Can you set her in on the side and then spin the carrier?
With the Ergo Baby, it's a little bit harder because you're working with straps. So that's typically not how I do it because it's not very natural and it's hard to get your arm in this way. And I'll show you what I mean. With the Medeye, the traditional Asian carrier, that's exactly how I love to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So if she's here, I have her here, then I just have to pull this around and see that's just, yeah. But you guys get to see all of them today. This one, I kind of put on like a little apron. I'm going to tie it off to the side. And it's never a bow, it's a double knot. Okay? So she's ready to go. Got her in like so. I'm going to take my panel, I'm going to walk it up because even though I don't have to create this seat, this one kind of does it naturally. It still helps me if I go from the bottom up nice and tight and walk it up. Sometimes these will come up. It's okay. It's not a big deal, but you can always have someone fold it down afterwards. But it's not a big deal. So I'm gonna grab these, my opposite hand, like so. So you can see that it brings tension because it's across my body. So that's why this works. Mm-hmm. Then I take my other hand and I'm gonna quickly swoop through and still got my hand on her. And then I'm gonna come up and over. And you'll find that certain things that you wear are easier than others. And then I'm just gonna pop this over. So it's just all preference. Mm-hmm. You can see I've done this several different ways.
Yeah.
So, and then we just tie it off in the back. And then to get out of it, same thing. Like so.
Well, this has been super informative, definitely enlightening for me. I do love wearing my baby. It's like such a, like, I'm in this phase now. My daughter's 10 months and she's like all about mom, does not want me to set her down, like cries and just wants to, be held, having that separation anxiety. So it's like nice to think about wearing her and not just do it when we're traveling, maybe when we're in the house. But I would love for you to tell everyone who's joining us how they can get in touch with you. If people have more specific questions, I know you do those like private consultations.
Yeah, so all of my consults, my infant massage, we do like group classes, but I just feel like with this, it's so personalized towards where your baby's at and maybe different things that, if they have torticollis or things like that, different, things that we are going through in our development stages. So everything is one-on-one when it comes to baby wearing. I do in person if you're in Arizona, but everything else is virtual. And so we have one-on-one appointments. You can find it on my website, which we're going to drop in the chat box. And then my Instagram is the Nurtured Baby AZ. And there's so many reels on there too. So if you're just looking for quick tips, definitely follow my page. The only other thing that I wanted to, it just popped in my head, I'm like, oh, I should mention that too, is we also talk about if you've had a vaginal birth or a C-section, because some of these carriers will be placed right where a cesarean scar would be. So that's important to know. Or if you have pelvic pain, definitely see a pelvic floor therapist. I advocate for that 100% because we don't want to be the moms that pee our pants from jogging a little bit in 10 years or 5 years. So definitely, you know, if you're going through certain things, we talk about that too, because it's going to make a difference which carriers we would do based off of where it's going to put pressure. Or even if you have range of motion issues with like reaching behind your back, that's going to matter too.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time today. It was so helpful. Make sure you check out Charity at thenurturedbaby.co. Also, her Instagram, I dropped it in the chat. It's like the.nurtured.baby.od. Love following her on Instagram. She makes the best reels, like 15-second to 30-second content that is so helpful. And we hope you guys have a good rest of your day.
Bye, guys. Thank you.